Alfred Hitchcock's 1959 North by Northwest. This has something in common with another 4K I reviewed recently, that of White Christmas, and I started that review by saying the reason this looks so good on 4K home video is because it was shot VistaVision. North by Northwest was also shot VistaVision, and of the two, I think North by Northwest looks even better. First of all then, the reason I believe North by Northwest looks superior to White Christmas is because by 1959 Mitchell Cameras had of course developed the true VistaVision camera, whereas White Christmas, the first VistaVision production ever made, Paramount were utilising a couple of adapted natural colour cameras from the 1920s, and that is detailed so well in Dion Hanson's article in Rewind magazine in 2024, which is for the Projected Picture Trust. And this is in fact Nigel Walland, chair of the Projected Picture Trust, with a VistaVision projector, which the Projected Picture Trust salvaged last year and is now safely ensconced in the base in Halifax. And oh, how I'd love to get up there to see something running through this. But VistaVision is a rare format to have in printed film. It was actually a format that was developed to produce superior standard 35mm prints. Now, I brought a trailer reel in here. I don't know if we're going to be able to see this, but I expect if we can. It's 8 sprockets across. It's a horizontal format, is VistaVision, and it goes through the camera the same as a stills camera, really, and it's 8 perforations across for each frame. So that is around 2.5 times the size of a standard 35mm frame, and the end result of that is when you shrink it down to a standard 35mm frame, you've got far sharper, superior imagery to if you'd have shot it in standard 35mm. That was what VistaVision was about. It was Paramount's answer to 20th Century Fox's CinemaScope. I don't think they wanted to pay the royalties to their rival to use their CinemaScope process, and so they came up with this sort of new compromise widescreen process that did produce superior imagery. And it can be adapted, or it could be adapted, I say can because a new film has just come out, VistaVision, which is being shown 70mm, come to that later, but it can be adapted to be cropped to various image aspect ratios. In its native format, could be 1.5 to 1, but the preferred aspect ratio for Paramount, who developed it, was 1.85 to 1. North by Northwest was an MGM release, and the important thing is that on our 4K discs it's 1.85 to 1 approximately. I blew it up to about 9.5 feet wide and slightly oversized it top and bottom, but on the deep black velvet it was only in the lightest places we were at all aware of that overspill. So a very big, crisp, clean image from this 4K disc. It's further enhanced by replicating the Technicolor, the dye transfer Technicolor that this film had when it went out to cinemas. Beautiful colour, very rich in places, pastel shades in others, just lovely to look at, and oh how filmmakers would still like to have that process available to them today. But I think they're trying to replicate it with the latest digital video, but nothing's quite come up to that sort of mark yet. But it's here on this 4K disc, as it is too with White Christmas. And another one I reviewed some time ago, which is Cecil B. DeMille, known as the 10 Commandments. That's another VistaVision dye transfer Technicolor, and I think the colour in that is richer than anything. And another one that's a variation of the VistaVision process, and that's Spartacus in Super Technorama 70. That was VistaVision with a 1.5 squeeze lens on it, which just happened to more or less replicate the frame of 70mm film. So these were optically released as 70mm blow-ups, but really just unsqueezing the information that was there. Another fabulous 4K disc, all of them because of the large film format origins of these movies. Now, I said it's got an aspect ratio of 1.85 to 1. It comes with Dolby Atmos sound. That sound is fantastic. I'm really surprised. It's not often I like modern soundtracks on older films, but the original soundtrack is, or at least it claims on the menu, it's here, and you put it on and it's a rather tinny sounding mono sound. So once you'd heard the Dolby Atmos, even in here through THX, which is 5.1 THX, once you'd heard that, you really couldn't then listen to the mono sound that was provided from the original theatrical soundtrack. So the Dolby sound on here, really special. There is just the 4K disc in this pack, which cost me $19.99 from HMV, but having seen the quality, I think that was $19.99 very well spent. All the extras are on the 4K disc. They run for a total of about 2 hours, but I suspect they were on the previous Blu-ray or indeed DVD release. There's so much to admire about this film: the acting, the music, the locations, the sets, the special effects with the mats, the paintings, the green screen effects. There's so much to admire, and okay, you can tell some of it is special effects, you can tell some of it's in the studios, you can see some fluffs, like when Eva Marie Saint is just about to fire off a couple of blanks at one of the lead actors. There's a little boy in the background with his fingers in his ears. They've obviously done a previous take and he wasn't happy with that loud noise. It doesn't matter. You've got to accept that about filmmaking. No film is ever perfect, but this is just such great fun as well as a good thrill ride. And I know most people would have seen it in 1960. It came out late in 1959, just before Christmas. But what an adventure this must have been in Vista Vision and Technicolor. And you can enjoy it just as those people did today in your own home cinema or on your large format television with surround sound system. So a real treat to have on 4K. I'd only ever seen it on television broadcast before, which means that I didn't actually ever see it at all. Now I have. I can see how good this film is, how enjoyable it is, how much fun it is. Cary Grant in particular, some of his lines and the way he delivers them are absolutely perfect. So yes, it's not a perfect film, but it's not far off, and what a treat to have this sort of image quality on a home video. But there we are. I did actually dip into this a few weeks ago, just before I did my top 10 of 2024, because it's VistaVision. I knew it was going to be one of the best of the year. It was just, where did it fit in? And I took one look at it and I thought, that's even better than White Christmas. I had White Christmas penciled in as number 3, so this became number 3. And certainly didn't get that one wrong. In terms of picture quality, this would have been number 1 of all the discs I put into my collection last year. So I don't think anyone would be disappointed with it. If you don't like older films, I suppose some people might think it's a bit hokey, a bit daft in places, but, well, it's an Alfred Hitchcock. I think you know what to expect. Some of the camera angles, what his crew and Alfred Hitchcock did for filmmaking of today. He was an example to everyone and still is to this day. So is this one recommended? You betcha. I mentioned a new VistaVision film earlier, and director Brady Corbett has chosen to shoot most of his new film, The Brutalist, in VistaVision, and I suspect the reason for that is because 2024 was 70 years of VistaVision. So this new film, it didn't get released here just yet. I think it will be by the time you see this video. The National Film Theatre are getting a 70mm print of The Brutalist. So it's been blown up from the VistaVision 1:6:1 aspect ratio. So I expect a couple of black pillars down the sides of the 70mm frames, but you won't see that at the NFT. They've got proper masking. They know how to project a film at the National Film Theatre. There are also 35mm prints around. I don't have details of where all these prints are in the world, but certainly the National Film Theatre have a 70mm print. I haven't heard that the Odeon Leicester Square are getting a 70mm print, but if I hear any more, I'll update the description in this video. Right, one other film that had a bit of VistaVision in it that we may have all seen and heard of is a little known film by the name of Star Wars. Well, the special effects of this were shot VistaVision. The reason for that, the larger image format would mean that with a film going through a camera lots of times, sometimes I think in this something like 80 times, or was that Empire Strikes Back? Anyway, a lot of times, that meant when you merge the special effects together and when you merged it with live action shots, you wouldn't get the image degradation so noticeable in so many productions, including the Ten Commandments. If you look at that, with it all being shot VistaVision, when you got to green screen or blue screen opticals in that, you could tell you were looking at a special effects shot because of the image degradation. Now on North by Northwest, there are plenty of soft focus shots to be seen, but that's just filmmaking, and there's one or two where all of a sudden there's increased film grain. I think that was because the shot went a bit wrong, it was too dark and it had to be pushed up in processing, thereby enhancing the look of the film grain and degrading the image. So VistaVision was used to make the special effects of Star Wars and a lot of films after this, such as the Indiana Jones films, look more seamless, work perfectly, and you'll see all of that detailed in Industrial Light and Magic, the Art of Special Effects, if you fancy reading a massive tome. Right, I think that probably brings us to the end. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, maybe subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next video, bye bye for now.